Right, while I'm waiting for others to join, I'm going to try and finish one or more MR reviews for contributor platform features. So one here I've almost finished reviewing. I was just going to pull the code down and test it locally. Is to allow us at the moment we can do something like contributors slash leaderboard slash me. Um, because I'm not a community contributor, that doesn't quite work. But it would scroll down to where you are on the leaderboard and highlight you. What you can't do is something like this with somebody else's user handle to scroll to them. So hopefully, should be in this, but let me just pull this diff down. Local, see if it's still working first. Hey, Carnegie.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can indeed. Did I
Yeah.
pronounce your name right? Oh,
Yes, 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 yes.
excellent. Thanks for
Hello.
joining again.
Oh, no problem, no problem. What's the channel? What's the YouTube channel where these recordings are streamed to?
So yeah, let me tune what this is going to go to. So I do them to this community code. So let me see if I can find, where do I go? More videos. Is that because of public? Ah, wants me
Cool.
to. There must be some way to get a public link to.
If you've got an
Uh,
old video, like specifically, I was thinking about last week. My collaboration partner wanted to see the video, so and I didn't know where to go
yeah, this looks like it.
to find it.
I'll drop this in Discord. But do shout. If I don't remember to hit stream, if I hit stream at the beginning, then it's published immediately on YouTube. But if I don't hit stream, then it gets recorded to the cloud, and then I have to download it from the cloud and upload it at some point. So if there's one missing at all, then do let me know.
Okay, okay.
So um, I didn't see when you hopped on, but I was just finishing an MR review, just pulled down the changes, and yeah, basically about to test something else. See
You
what
pasted that in
happens.
the chat. I didn't see
Uh,
it come up.
no, I will do that as well. Good point. So I should rename that, shouldn't I, to today's pairing. Edit title. Let's see, office hours today. Next, share that and share that as well. So who's be able to? Woohoo! Beautiful. So yeah, the idea is that I think we talked about this last week. Forgive me, so much goes on every week. But at the moment, when an MR is merged, now what I don't know is if it happens in this project. I'm fairly sure it does. So if we look at this one here, when the MR is merged, it says check your spot on the contributor leaderboard. And that link does slash me. So it works for the author clicking this link themselves, but if I want to click it, it's of no use. But now, if I was to do slash slash okay, so I suspect that is because the data I have is sufficiently old that that user doesn't exist in the platform. So if I just have a look on GitLab.com, So their contributions kind of started at the end of August, so it kind of makes sense that I don't have them in my system. But if I was to just, hop to page 5, find a random user, so this one here perhaps, I should be able to do slash leaderboard slash them. Yeah. And it automatically takes me to page 5 because they're on page 5 and highlights them on the leaderboard. So that looks like it's working beautifully. I'll just finish whizzing through the MR real quick. I'll go excuse me, go back to where I was. So the controller, there's separation. There was just a me action or method in there before. That was the only way to use it, where now we've got me and then we've got a specific user action as well. Me will redirect to this generic with the current user ID and username, and the user method will find the user in the database, and then it will redirect with that user's ID and username.
Are you also going to filter to a specific date range, like the last 3 months or something as well?
I think we'll just default for the time being, which is how me was working, and it defaults to the last 3 months. What you can do, so what it essentially results in is it just basically redirects you to the leaderboard with highlight username, with the username and then the page. If you wanted to, now you're just making me think. So what happens if I change that? I guess it's going to take me to, so I've lost the highlight. What I think I can do, this is kind of like hidden feature set at the moment, right? Is to do slash leaderboard slash to question mark from day equals that. And so that will actually take that additional parameter. So rather than going back 3 months, it's gone back 6 months. So I think we can flesh that out further and add some more functionality if we desire in the future. But the main problem that we want to solve has definitely been solved here. So the first comment I made is interesting because I don't know if I call this like over optimization, but I sometimes kind of wonder about checks. Like obviously we could do like an infinite number of checks to avoid I don't know, like someone trying to put a username in that definitely isn't a username, to all sorts of things. But generally speaking, I'm a little bit sort of more, well, let's just make it work. And because there's infinite number of ways that you could do it wrong, like, is it really worth trying to code for those infinite number of ways? So the validate method at the moment is essentially downcasing the argument, the username, and then if the username is present and the length is less than 255, then it returns it. Otherwise, it doesn't. So my sort of arguments are, I think because of the routing, which we'll come to in a minute, that it's not possible to hit this route without a username. And this just seems a little bit sort of, I don't know, arbitrary, if that's the right word. I suspect that there probably is a limitation in GitLab that maybe matches, but to say, like, do we then start checking other things like the character sets that are supported in a username? And I just don't know that it's really worthwhile. I don't know if either of you have views on that kind of, to what extent you would validate, protect.
At least the main one, which is username, I typically would validate. What happens if you give an invalid username currently? Is it 404 or a user not found?
So because we're using find by, this will return a null, and then it will just redirect to the generic leaderboard. But that will happen regardless of whether we do this validation, I think.
So I don't think you need it then in that case.
That's kind of my argument. But again, I wouldn't like I would allow it if that makes sense. I'm not blocking for that reason, but yeah, I just feel like it's a bit unnecessary. So my suggestion is rather than kind of calling this validate method, which downcases the username and ensures it's less than 255 characters and ensures that it's not empty, that we just go straight to here with the downcase version. So we just downcase it, do that, good. We'll get to the routing in a minute, which I think prevents that username being empty anyway. But it could be that it protects from like it being spaces or something that kind of isn't empty, but I don't know, whatever. Seems a bit OTT, I think. So yeah, both of these /me or / and then a username will then redirect to this private method, which does the same as before, but with a couple of subtle differences. So it doesn't rely on the current user ID from the session. Instead, it takes the user ID that's passed in. I've suggested like maybe we change back here because I had a guard clause in here before that essentially says, well, if there was no page number returned, it means that the user basically doesn't exist in the leaderboard. So we just redirect to this. And instead of using like a guard clause, it's now sort of an if block. Again, it's a bit of a personal preference using guard clauses to avoid like insane indentation more than anything. But yeah, I've suggested we maybe flip back to that kind of approach. And then we're adding another parameter in for the redirect, and that's highlight username. But that's conditionally added depending on which endpoint was hit. Either, was it a /me? If I do leaderboard, I don't think this works. No, I really need to be logged in as someone other than me. I could probably, if I go into my account and flag myself as a community member, I think it might work. I'm not sure that that's immediately updating. Should do. There we go. Right. So I'm there now. So if I do /me, it goes to page 1. But without, it doesn't pass that highlight using this argument. If I do GitLab, then it does pass that highlight username. So I've kind of asked the question, like, does it really matter? Whether it's like whether we're doing me or whether we're doing user, I feel like we may as well just always pass that highlight username. The beauty of that, I think, is that we could then, I could copy this and I could share this with someone if I wanted, regardless of whether I'm looking for me or someone else. So that was my suggestion there. The contributor table, so the actual change on the front end is fairly minimal. I think this is all it is. So we grab that highlight username from the query string, and then where we've got some logic at the moment that says highlight the current user, we say, or if there's a highlight username, and that username matches the current user, then also highlight that as well. I've suggested we maybe don't need to downcase when we do the comparison, because in here we grab the user from the database with the lowercase comparison, and then we pass the username from the database. So because we've already got the correct casing from the database, I don't think there's a need to do that kind of I suppose the only argument would be if for some bizarre reason somebody did, let me do, so if I do, did I get something wrong there? It's all right to me. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong there. Let's try you again, Jim.
I love being a test subject.
So what's you? I must be doing something really silly for Heidi. I don't know. So if I don't obviously see it, but if somebody wants to do this, it works at the moment. But if you were to make the change that I'm suggesting and not have the downcasing in here, then it wouldn't work. So I guess that's one argument. Again, I don't feel like this is a block-in suggestion. I'm also curious to know, do we really need this protection? Like if there is no highlight username in the query string, I don't know if this is null or if it's undefined, and does that cause this to break or not? I don't know what JavaScript does if you try and compare something to null or undefined. I assume that it would be okay, but we shall see. Sorry, I just saw there's a couple of things in the chat. Yeah, okay, cool, thank you. So that was that. The new routing looks pretty good to me. And I was basically down to this final spec, actually. I wonder whether there should be a spec for this, for the front end change. Let's quick look what we've got in the contributors table. Spec. Doesn't look like we've got anything. Small argument, I suppose, that this class that we're applying to the row is no longer as, I don't know, or appropriately named if we're using it to highlight not only yourself but also the user that's been passed in as well. I don't think I expect that at the moment. I'll add it as a comment, but again, I don't think it's blocking. Let's say. A moment. Right. So the immediate thing I noticed here, so the spec changes here are really just because the path helper sort of path name has changed, I guess, because of, you know, the change from, I don't know what you would call this, basically starting to use a scope. So I just want to have a look at what we do. Scope. So use scope elsewhere. So I think that's okay, but I do wonder if like what happens when you get to a point like we've got users/me, I think. Have we? I don't know if we have now. Yes, we've got user/me, as well as leaderboard/me. So how does this, okay, so the user/me is not something that's defined, or is it? Just oh, so this is the main routes. We've got API routes. Yeah, so user/me is not a defined route in the back end. It uses the catch-all route. This one here. And then the front end routing handles it. But yeah, it's just a slight, clearly we've already got that problem, I guess, with these. That the root name is just request help, not manage merge request help. So I don't think it's a big deal, but I might just ask the question. Just ask that question. So that's just that change. That's just that change. So redirects to login page with return param. So what's the change here? When logged in user does not appear on the leaderboard. Oh, I don't think the spec has changed. I think it's just this. Yeah, that annoys me when the diff can't handle that. So that spec hasn't changed. So we basically added a bunch of specs. So the presume these are for the me endpoint. Yeah, so they've all remained the same, but we've now got a get user one. So what we doing here? Create a couple of records for a couple of users, refreshing the view. And then we're checking when we pass Bobby's username with a page size of 1. So Bobby should be on page 2, I guess, because an issue gets less points than a merge request. Then the response is to redirect to the leaderboard, highlight username is Bobby, and the page is 2. That all looks good. It's good to me. And the username is invalid. Okay, so that spec wouldn't be appropriate anymore if we do remove that limit when the user does not exist. Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder how the comparison works in terms of would this still pass? Let's try that quickly. So if we look at the spec, we look at the leaderboard. This is that API one. Okay, this is the one. So yeah, what I'm curious to see is if I run this one. Yeah, so this one, for example, on 32. Oh no, that's a bad one. That was redirecting to the login, sorry. This one, 22. Just curious to see if it's I don't know what you call it, like a wildcard type thing. Like if I change this to this, does it still pass, or is it specifically looking for that exact redirect? Because if it's a wildcard one, then we've got some flakiness in the test. But no, it does look like it's looking at the exact URL, so that's perfect. Okay, so we're saying that when the user does not exist, when the user does not appear on the leaderboard. So newbie.username. Is that a user that already exists? Oh yeah, yeah. We create them. Yeah. The reason it redirects is different to this. Yeah, that's good. So what other changes? So mainly to the controller. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. That. Right, sorry, we can get to what we planned now. So yeah, we're gonna look. Actually, first of all, anyone got anything that they're stuck on, or questions, or whatever before I dive in? Jose, I think you got a question there. You're on mute at the moment, so I can't hear you, but feel free to ask in the chat or unmute and
Hello.
hi, how you doing?
Hello. Just I put the camera just to for for you to could see me. First
Absolutely.
of all, I wanted to thank you for the time and for this code pairing. I just wanted to ask you a little question, but I am not sure if this is the space is more about GitLab because I started my contribution journey this week. I mean, last week. I already have like couple of MRs ready and merged, but I would like to ask you some questions. I don't know if this is the space.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining and thanks for being part of the community. Yeah, did you want to either share your screen or did you want to ping us some links or just ask questions? Far away, happy to help.
Okay, thank you. No, don't need to share my screen. I just well, the point is my my main skills are. I mean, I was looking through the the stack we use mainly, and I see we use a lot of Ruby in the backend side and Vue.js in the front end side. But my main skills are related to Golang, you know.
Okay.
Fortunately, I saw that you also use a lot of Golang in, oh, actually, yeah, the CLI. Actually, I did like a couple of MRs to the CLI. I just wanted to ask you, from your point of view, which are the like the most important repositories that use Golang. I already know about the CLI. I know also about Gitali. But you know, I just wanted to talk a bit about it and how used is Golang here in the community.
Yeah, great question. So you caught me on a sort of, I don't know what to call it, a weakness essentially. So I'm definitely not comfortable around Golang. But I do know that we've got a number of projects that use it. So you already touched on the CLI. That's definitely one of the main ones and one of the earlier or first ones I remember and was aware of. I suppose the GitLab runner. I'm fairly confident that uses is Golang. I'll just bring that up as well. But what I do know about the runner is that the team is fairly overwhelmed, and I think that it's considerably harder to get merge requests across the line in that project. I don't want to completely sort of say to avoid it. Please feel free to explore. But yeah, it's just worthwhile having a conversation on an issue maybe before moving to a merge request, because I know that team are a little bit more pushed in terms of time. But the CLI definitely, and then two that are really big in the community, because both of these projects I'm going to talk about now actually came from the community. They were started by the community and they've just been migrated, and there's I don't know what we call it exactly. There's some kind of level of GitLab maintainership, but not necessarily ownership, if that makes sense. So we've migrated both of the projects from GitHub onto GitLab, but we've got the Terraform provider. I don't know if you know much about Terraform.
Yeah. Actually, I am like I define myself like a kind of a backend with infrastructure knowledge. So I use Terraform a lot. So
Awesome.
it's good to know about it because I hadn't checked it. So it's good to know about it. Uh well,
So the
I think
Terraform
it's
provider there,
okay.
I just add one more thing real quick. So the Terraform provider, and then the Terraform provider heavily relies under the hood on the client Go. So it's basically like a Golang SDK or whatever you want to call it, wrap around the API. Same's happened with that. That's migrated recently from GitHub
Yeah,
onto GitLab.
actually, so far the contributions I have made are to the client code for the release of the 1.0 version and to the CLI.
Awesome.
So
It sounds like you're on top and aware of
yeah, no,
as
actually, I'm pretty excited about the way you handle all about the community. You know, that really made me happy. So I'm trying to every day in my time, of course, when I can, I'm trying to, you know, to get in touch and to get involved. And I I was talking, you know, when you create your contribution issue that someone answers to, you know, and tells you to introduce yourself, and
yep.
I really want to participate in the hackathon, so we will see.
Awesome. Look forward to it. Getting closer, right? October the 1st, does that sound right?
Yeah, October the 1st.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah, I mean, if you've got any more questions, feel free just ask in the Discord itself, or hop onto these sessions, or ask in your onboarding issue, or any issues. We're here to help.
Yeah, just the last one. Is there any kind of pairing like this you do, but with other repos like Gitali or the GitLab runner, or those are more internal for the GitLab team?
There's not really at the moment, and I think that's I'm going to say basically my fault because as I say, I primarily host this session, and then Ariana, someone on my team, hosts a session on Thursday, more in sort of America time, so a bit later in the day. And again, her skill set, like Ruby's her strength, so like we tend to focus on like the main GitLab project, the contributor platform, those kind of things. I think that the Timo, if no one else, is definitely someone that I know that's really heavily sort of invested in community and would, I'm sure, be happy to maybe sort of do something a bit more ad hoc, maybe from a Golang point of view. Definitely in terms of the Terraform provider or the client Go, because I think that he's the primary maintainer for both of those projects. So yeah, I mean, maybe you want to ping. I'll put my handle in the
No, no,
chat.
no, 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 no issues. I just because my main concerns related to these repos, like for example the runner or Gitali, are that it's not like how can I say, like a usual backend that you have your API, and that involves more about operating system and those kind of things. And that's basically why I asked, because maybe you had some space for that. But no issues. I will take my time and I will start it, and I will at some point I would be able to contribute. Anyways,
Cool.
if you need maybe some help or anything that you think that maybe I could help, don't hesitate. I am really eager to help and to be
Awesome.
part of the community. So whatever you
Awesome.
need,
Appreciate that.
no issues.
No, that's great. I know that the Gitaly team have done some sort of community collaborations in the past. I think potentially through Google Summer of Code. So again, I could try and make some introductions there as well at some point if you'd be interested in bouncing around some ideas or learning more about that kind of area.
Okay, okay. Well, it's a pleasure.
Awesome. No, thanks for joining. Thank you. Anyone else with anything before I dive in? I'll probably only get as far as fleshing out the issue. We probably won't get too far with code, but far away if anyone's got anything else.
Hi there. I'm a
Hi.
uh, I'm Mitra from like I had a I was trying to contribute to this community so earlier, but you know, I was getting something and trying something, and also doing, but I was not sure whether I was in the right track or something, because I was working on issues, but even reaching out to the reviewers, and also making the MRS, but uh, I was not, confident in the work of mine, and I was
Did you have a merge request
here
link or an
for
issue? Oh,
currently
I think
contact me.
you shared something in the chat there, right? Let's have a look. So you've raised this one here. And okay, so did okay, you closed it, reopened it. So is this one ready to be looked at, or
Yeah. So like I had previously worked on this issue, but now I and my team had named Johnson were working on another issue, which for preparing for the hackathon. So like I was really not sure about the direction of where I was going. So there, like kind of suggestion or uh, you know, something from your side of experience could be helpful for me.
Yeah, okay. So just having a look at this. Yeah, I don't know too many details about this one. I could dig in later. What we tend to, so if I have a look, I don't know if your onboarding issue is linked like it is, but let's see if I can find it. So okay, closed. Okay, there we go. So what we normally suggest is to start by looking at these quick wins or first time contributor issues. So from a back end, if you into Ruby, then my favorite one and it is this Ruby cop issue here. So it's fairly like the steps are detailed enough. You can, yeah, it's really step-by-step guide to be able to do what you need to do. And it's not completely automated, but essentially it tells you, you know, go in here, make this change, run this command, make this change, raise the merge request. So this is definitely one that I would suggest from a kind of Ruby point of view, and there's loads and loads and loads of them that need fixing. So we really like pointing new contributors to this as an issue, where you can just pick one of these from the list that hasn't been done, and just follow this step-by-step guide. So that's a really good one. There's a docs one as well. Update alt text for images.
Yeah, I chose that one.
Awesome.
That was the low-hanging fruit for me.
Absolutely. So again, it's a similar, it's a bit more tricky in so much as that I know we always say like that naming things is hard, right? And I find the same with like descriptions and technical writing essentially. But I think the big thing with this is that you don't actually need like a working development environment necessarily. You can do this in the web IDE. Again, just pick one up and the technical writing team will help you through the review to tweak if they've got any recommendations or suggestions on the wordage, but it starts to get you a bit more familiar with, I don't know, the code base and the merge request process and the review process and the team and the community. So they're definitely two really good ones to get started with. I hope that helps.
That helps. I appreciate that, Lee. Yeah, another question I thought of, getting started with the web IDE was pretty straightforward. And I also thought it would be pretty straightforward getting started with the Git pod. But now with the new, I think, changes over the renaming or rebranding, it was a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine. We were aware of the changes as well. The changes have changed. So there was a plan back, I don't know whether it was a year or so ago. There was a plan from Gitpod that what they were going to, the services they were going to change and rebrand, etc. But that plan changed. So we thought we were going to lose like Gitpod in April, and then we thought we were going to lose in September, and now I can't remember if the date's changed to October or but we don't know exactly what you are and aren't going to be able to do going forward through Gitpod, but we do have a sort of product or part of GitLab itself called GitLab Workspaces, And again, that's a remote or cloud development environment, which allows you to run the GitLab development kit. But we're just not quite there yet. We've had it working in sort of an experimental environment, if that's the right term. So we've used it, but it's not quite. We haven't ironed out enough kinks to kind of put it out there. We also need to figure out how we'll kind of manage the compute resource, if that makes sense, because again, it obviously it will be quite expensive to run it for thousands of users. So we just need to figure out how does someone opt in, and how do we kind of prevent like, oh whoops, I left the GDK running for 4 days and I wasn't using it, sort of thing. So we need to be able to configure some kind of timeout, idle timeouts, I guess, to ensure that we're not wasting too much resource. But I do expect
I'd be happy to sign up for that beta.
Awesome, glad to hear it. Yeah, definitely. I think within the next couple of months we'll have that out there. I'm sure we'll still be refining it, but I'm sure there'll be a way to sort of join some kind of beta program or something where you could help us figure that out.
Great, thanks.
And yeah, obviously that'll be a bit nicer in terms of like I don't know what you call it, like integrated experience. I can show you. It does take sort of 5-10 minutes to spin up the environment, so I probably won't fully spin it up, but I can kind of show you roughly what it looks like. So where is it?
Yeah, I love the question that Jose asked, in the comments that he made. This is a great, you've set up a really great community, and it makes you want to contribute. And being able to, context switch, it would be nice, so you don't have a whole lot of heavy lifting that you have to do, while you're doing your day job, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, in terms of, especially depending on what local environment you've got. I understand if you're using Windows, for example, it's a lot more challenging to get the GDK up and running. Probably even if you are a Ruby on Rails developer, because managing the dependencies, there can be conflicts. It's a lot better now. We're using Mies or Myers or whatever it's called for dependency management. But I think there is still some kind of potential for different projects that you're working on to interfere with each other to some extent. So this is our sort of workspaces where we've been testing. I can't remember. I think you can see the kind of scripts that we've been playing with to figure out how to kind of configure the GDK to work in workspaces. And once it's up and running, you should simply be able to come into here and here, new workspace. And yeah, basically create that workspace, and that would just spin up the development environment and take you into a web VS Code. I think you can connect to the VS Code from your desktop as well, if you prefer working in that environment. But yeah, you should be able to do it directly through the web.
Awesome.
So yeah, let me talk. I know I'm not gonna get as far as doing any hacking, but I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the what did I plan somewhere? Yeah, so what we've been doing, let's go to the contributor platform. Over the past couple of years, we've slowly been introducing and recognizing more and more forms of contribution. So from a code point of view, it hasn't changed a lot, but we do now recognize not just the authors of a merge request, but also those who push commits to a merge request. So if you collaborate with someone, but also any comments that are added to a merge request, And that's about it. So yeah, if you open a merge request, you merge a merge request, you push commits to a merge request, all of those things are recognized in this code column. We've then got the plan column. So opening issues, we recognize notes that you add to issues, any help you provide in labeling and closing issues as well. So all of that's kind of through this manage area, really. So if I was to probably not be able to find one, but let's go for issues. I'm going to say label. It's of. So what we're trying to do is get all of our issues labeled with the group and the type. So what I'm going to do is look for some old issues. We're trying to use AI to do this as much as possible, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't, yeah. So we've got one. What should I do? This looks like quite a good one. So I can copy this link into the contributor platform, and I can use this label feature. So it's already got a type and a subtype. There isn't a group assigned, but it's suggesting one.
Okay, why is it not letting you put it in?
Was that, sorry, Jim?
Why is it not letting you click on group optimize?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's not letting me click on the drop down at all, in fact. I do not know. I think it thinks there is already a group label applied. That's interesting. Not quite sure. There's a category on there. Even though it's not appearing. Yeah, okay, glitch in the matrix there. But anyway, I digress, don't I? I shouldn't digress. So yeah, so we recognize when you help us to label issues, when you help us to close issues. We also recognize, I'm hoping there's someone up here on this leaderboard. Jim. So when you help out in Discord, when you help out on the forum, and when you do translations, and then there's some bonus points around when you speak about GitLab, when you organize an event about GitLab, when you publish blogs or content about GitLab. So we're trying to recognize more and more types of contribution. But what we probably don't do a great job of at the moment is if you are new to GitLab and you start onboarding.
And you join a pairing event.
Absolutely. I mean, that's awesome, albeit that when we joined, I was knee deep in code. So it could definitely scare people off. So somewhere I had an onboarding issue open, which I've clearly closed now.
The red in that graph just looks scary anytime you pull up that graph.
You can fix the color palette for me if you like, Jim. So yeah, we try and do a bit of a catch-all with the onboarding issue, right? So we sort of say, you know, if you're interested in quick wins for docs, look at that. For front end, look at that. For back end, look at that. If we don't mention translations, we don't mention UX, we don't mention label. No, we don't mention like other ways that you can contribute, because it would just get really it's already overwhelming. So eventually we're going to tailor this more. So when you start onboarding, it asks, you know, are you interested in docs or the front end or the back end or translations, or what are you interested in, and we'll tailor this checklist, this issue a lot more. But in the meantime, to promote some of the other activities, primarily the closing and labeling of issues and merge requests, we want to run a small event dedicated to that. So just be a week or a couple of weeks where we just encourage community to basically label and close out issues. I think closing out issues might be a little bit more scary. Again, Jim, appreciate your dedication to that, and having a fairly solid understanding of GitLab and how we work, etc. But yeah, to more newcomers, I think labeling is a bit more sort of open, especially with the AI being fairly good at suggesting labels. I don't know why this one I've managed to pick a bad example, but is it going to give me a suggestion? Let me just pick another issue. Let's try this one. See if I've managed to completely break it somehow. No, that's working. That's better, right? The drop down's working at least there. AI is taking its sweet time.
Is it the AI or is it the temperature?
Oh, do you know? No, I think I logged out. That's why I logged out. Now I'm logged back in. That's working. This is working. That's working. It's all beautiful. Awesome. Problem in computer. No, problem in chair, not in computer, right? So yeah, labeling. So we want to run a small event, but obviously you can see that was a little bit painful for me to kind of find this issue list, filter it, pick out an issue, paste the link into here and do what I need to do. So we're thinking it'd be really nice if like this issue finder, so this one finds issues that've got the quick win label applied. It'd be really nice if we had something similar that could find issues that need to be reviewed, that need to be triaged, labeled, etc. So yeah, we started brainstorming. What did we start brainstorming? So yeah, we want to use GraphQL to make a query like this to get issues back from GitLab. And then it either needs to present a handful of those issues for you to choose one that you want to try and help us triage, or maybe to randomly pick one of those issues and present that issue.
So random question for you. Do you know how many or any stats on how much that bot has touched existing issues out of all of the issues in GitLab currently to put the quick win or whatever stuff on it?
So sorry, we're talking about the AI one that adds the group and the
just to put the help manage this issue header on each issue.
Oh, good question. No, the only thing that we did do, or somebody did, or I did, or whatever a little while ago, was to still a bit of text. I don't know if this
Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a way to tell overall how much of that is in open issues? There's a reason why I'm asking, and I'll get to that.
So the only way I know is what I just did there. And it's telling me more than 10,000. So I'm guessing that's the cap, if you were.
Okay.
I don't know of any other way at the moment to be able to kind of monitor that.
The reason I'm asking is, would it be worth having some sort of Chrome extension? You know how Chrome extensions can modify the page source a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Just have a floating button that comes up and people can install this extension if they want to help manage.
Possibly. I mean, we do have challenges with the solution that we've got at the moment. I don't love it. It's kind of the best of a bad. Oh, how have we managed to break that? When was it last updated? 6 days ago. Just gonna. It's there. I just need to look back at that quick. Yeah, so that's the only content of this, right? Somebody's. I feel like that was. Yeah. We can blame Alex for that, right?
Okay, so that was a human error.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, but yeah, it's not without it's not perfect. It requires, somebody to modify the issue or create the issue to trigger this thing to come up. It sort of breaks like previews, like here you can no longer really see what this issue is about because it shares that. Yeah, there's various reasons why it's not ideal. I think, Jim, I'm sure you'll remember we toyed with initially having the bot post a comment, a note. The problem is that generates a notification, so that was kind of even more evil than this solution, if that makes sense, because everyone following everyone, every participant on the issue was getting an email when that comment was added. And the comment could be somewhere random in amongst hundreds of other comments. So that's why we pivoted to this. I think my ideal or the best solution that I can still think of is to have what we call a widget. Now, I can't remember. I think this is a widget. I think this might be a widget, and then all of these are widgets. So it would be kind of an issue summary widget or something along those lines that we could ensure kind of stays somewhere quite visible, that has this note in that hopefully it doesn't generate notifications and it doesn't interfere with the description. But we just don't have that feature or functionality at the moment. I love the sort of Chrome add-in or something like that. It's nice, but the main thing that we wanted to achieve with this was that kind of discoverability, if that makes sense. So our sort of expectation or understanding or whatever it is that you imagine like every issue in the issue tracker that maybe on average, one person creates an issue, maybe 100 people see each of those issues, and the majority of those people are just kind of passing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to those hundreds of thousands of people that are just passing, that we just have this tiny little mention that, hey, everyone can help and you can help move this issue forward and you can earn points and level up and collect rewards, and then a bit more information on how you can do that. So it's really the bystanders, the people that aren't aware that sort of it's an open source project and everyone can contribute, and how easy it potentially can be. And this is our first sort of step or foray into that. I'm going to mention the last couple of bullets we had on this, kind of what we're hoping we might build. Again, we don't want to go insane, but just from the sort of discoverability point of view from the event we hope to run for non-code contributions. So a bit like we've got a page for the hackathon at the moment, we can have a page for this little event. And it can use GraphQL to grab some issues from GitLab that need to be triaged, need to be labeled. It can show a target that we're aiming towards. It can show a small leaderboard of people who have been doing the triaging. And I guess it'll say that you need to be logged in to do it and allow you to log in, and that you need to have started the onboarding. give you a couple of links for those things. But yeah, it's just we probably won't go quite as mad as we normally do with like writing tests and all that kind of like, this is a bit of an experiment itself. But yeah, it'd be really nice to have a bit of gamification and a bit of publicity around these other contribution methods. Awesome. I've done lots of talking. Please forgive me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining. Any last questions before we disappear?
Hey, can you help me confirm one issue real quick, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm going to put it in chat.
So do you want me to see if that makes my CPU go mad if I go onto a pipeline, or?
Yep, if you don't mind. I want to make sure it's not just that my computer, because I'm not seeing it. I want to make sure someone else doesn't see it as well. Because I block a lot of traffic and stuff on my network.
It's really hard, isn't it? In 7 years, you think that it's very unlikely to.
Well,
so
if you take a look in comments, there was a comment I think 2 or 3 years ago as well talking about it. So
3 years now, isn't it? Still relevant. 15.3. So yeah, again, 3 years old. So it's saying even, but then this is keeping a pipeline log page open. Is that what this was about? This wasn't a pipeline log page though, right? This was the list of pipelines. So I feel like even that's a bit confusing, that maybe that person's like, I think that should be a new issue really, if it's the pipeline log page. And I'll show you what I think they're referring to, but let's have a look. So at the moment, I need to have a look at what Chrome is doing. Where is it? Wow.
As my Chrome with that page opens hovering around 28%, and with it closed, it's about 28%.
Okay, so my Chrome is hovering at 1% at the moment. If I go to pipelines, and this is the page I think they're talking about.
Right.
So it's jumped up to 10. It's dropped down to 7. It's dropped down to 3. Jumped up to 7 again. So I guess down to 4. I mean, it's using a bit, but then I guess it's doing some kind of polling or subscription for all of these, right?
Right.
Because I'm getting real-time updates. I don't think that excuse me, that's too scary. And I feel like my hardware's reasonable, but it's not like blistering cutting edge, bearing in mind that I'm due a new laptop imminently. So
I was just going to ask, have you got your M4 yet?
No, I'm still waiting. I think it's because I've been awkward and I want a 14-inch. Everyone else goes for 16 when they go for the Pro model. And I want a US keyboard because my previous one came with a US keyboard. So like I can't now switch to anything different. So let me just look at the other. I guess the pipeline log page that I think the other person's talking about really depends on the size of the pipeline, right? Because this is a teeny tiny one, but I know full well that many of our that's not what I wanted. Many of our jobs have like tens of thousands of line, and I guess if you open tens of thousands of lines, that is gonna be problematic, right? And that's not really I mean, maybe we do have some control over that, I guess, but okay, this is running just fast spec, so yeah, it's quite short, so that's not really helping. So what's that doing at the moment? Yeah, 3%. So it's not really doing a lot. Yeah, it's tricky. It's definitely an increase, but I don't know. Like maybe I should do something like if I go to YouTube, like what does this what does this do to my pay? So that's up at 13%, drops down to 6% now. It's sort of idle, down to 3%. So yeah, it's hard, isn't it? 5 upvotes in 7
9
years.
years, 8
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And that last one was 3 years ago. Yeah, I personally would say close it. Because again, it just isn't enough. You might want to try asking AI if it can find any similar issues. Because if this is about the pipelines page, someone mentioned the log page, etc., it could be that we just add a note. There might be a generic like one about high CPU usage in the GitLab UI, and we might be able to add a note about this specifically on there. But I don't think that's sort of sufficient. And the amount that it's changed definitely since this one was raised, just yeah, I would close it. You can blame me.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining. Pleasure to have you all in the community and look forward to seeing some of you later in the week.
All right. Thank you.